Hey everyone, it's Jeff, and welcome to the call. We're going to get going right on time here. I'm excited to be with you, and we're rolling now. So we are into Module 5, which is completely awesome. It's just great stuff. We just released Module 5 yesterday, and we are in the thick of it. The stuff you're learning in here, no matter what type of launch you're going to do, how you're going to do it, will serve you and serve you for literally the rest of your life. This is some really cool stuff. I think Module 5 might be the best teaching I've ever done. If you haven't gotten into it yet, I know a lot of you, it's been fast and furious here. This is 5 weeks in a row we've released a module. And so not everyone's caught up, and that's fine if you're not. Welcome. Doesn't matter that you're not. It matters that you're here. But Module 5 is really cool because what I did was I took 3 or 2 very, very successful launches, and I basically walk you through each video, and I'll do a little stop action where it'll play, and I'll stop and I'll tell you what they're doing, why they're doing it, the things that are going well, the things I think they could do differently. And so you get to actually see these real life videos in action, and you also get just a complete video to watch. And these are in niche markets. One is Will Hamilton teaching tennis, and one is Susan Garrett teaching dogs. And they both did a great job with their launch. They weren't perfect. No launch is perfect, but I basically walk through their videos and break them down for you. So I really think this could be the best teaching I've ever done, except for maybe Module 6. Module 6, which we'll release next week, is going to be just as cool. I walk through their sales videos and actually show you what they're doing in their sales videos. And Module 6 is all about creating your sales video. So it's a great module. The fact that the wheat has been separated from the chaff here. The great thing is now that we're into this 5th call here, we just have the superstars left on this call. So it's fantastic that you're here with me. Thanks so much. We're going to have a great call. For the win, the fact that you're sticking with us, that you're still here, you're going to win at this game. That's for sure. So this is the 5th and the final official call with me. I promised you 5 calls. This is going to be the 5th one. The thing is there's more calls coming. So I basically want to get you started with these 5 calls. I'm going to be taking off a few weeks here, but we will continue to have calls. We will have calls with my coaches. Next week it'll be with Mark, who is been coaching with me for, 5 years or something like that. He's awesome. You're going to love him, and he's going to do a call next week. And then we'll be announcing more calls, and I'll be back for a call with you in January. So, this is officially sort of the end of these calls, but it's really not the end of these calls. You're going to be getting more calls with me and with my coaches for a good long time. Okay, so how much do I love you? I want to show you. I can show you a picture just how much I love you. This is a Lift 8 Durango Mountain Resort, and I took this photo 2 hours ago. I was on Lift 8, and so we had a powder day, which means a powder day is when you get a bunch of snow and you have powder skiing conditions, and so they live in this mountain town in Colorado. There's a lot of skiers here. When there's a powder day, it's sort of like the joke is, all the stores on Main Street close down. And they just put up a sign in their window that says it's powder day, and no further explanation is needed. That story might be a bit apocryphal, but it's also a bit of the truth. So last night I'm looking and I'm like, wow, tomorrow's going to be a powder day. Storm was coming in and it was due. And they were opening in Lift 8 on the backside of the mountain, which serves like a big chunk of the mountain. And Lift 8 hadn't been opened up till this point of the season. This is the first time they opened. So the significance of this photo is I'm in this lift and look at all that untracked powder under the run. There's literally one track off there on the sort of the left side of the screen. It was, I caught the timing was perfect. So I was on this lift and literally got first tracks down the mountain. Here's another shot, just untracked powder. It was unbelievable. But so I got in a great half a day skiing. I skied got on the lift. It was there when it opened at 9, finished up at 12:30 and rushed back down. And here I am with you, and I'm excited to be with you. Had a great day skiing, and I'm excited to have this call with you. So I've been hitting you. This is the 5th week I've now hit you with this. We're going to open up registration for PLF Live, and just very soon in January, which is only about a little over a week away. And we'll be releasing the dates, the locations. It's going to be in Scottsdale, Arizona. If you live a long ways from Scottsdale, Arizona, it doesn't matter. We have people come from around the world, literally Australia, Japan, New Zealand, China, Brazil, just from everywhere. And they come because, frankly, it's completely awesome. PLF Live is where we take everything that we do here on these calls and in PLF, and we just take it deeper. It's much more immersive when I get you in a room with me for 3 days. So that is coming up. And if any of you, when we're calling you for questions, if you've been to PLF Live, tell me about it, because this event's a real passion of mine. It's me on stage teaching 80% of the time. I usually bring in a superstar or two. You can see, in fact, you can see photos of some of them here, like Brendan Burchard, Rich Sheffrin's up there, Marie Forleo, Frank Kern, Evan Pagan, Clay Collins, Jay Abraham, that's Mari Smith, Jeff Johnson, Andy Jenkins, Don Crowley, Lisa Sasevich. Those are the caliber of people we have there. But basically, it's me, and we might have 1 or 2 guest speakers, and we walk through and create the launch for you. So, yeah, PLF Live, be sure to get there. We'll go through this quickly. This is about modules 1, 2, 3, 4, and I should have edited that at N5. I'm going to be answering questions on base of those first 5 modules. I'll be taking live questions during the call. The call's not for tech support. You know that by now. If you need help, support at ProClassFormula.com. They can get you great, if you're having trouble downloading or something, getting access or something, that's the place to get support. Sometimes on these answers, I will expound on some, because if it's a question I think applies to a lot of people, then I might go deeper or be a little more wide-ranging. This call is going to be recorded, and it will be posted in the PLF portal for you, so you can listen to it. And I'd love when you participate with me. I'd love to ask you questions and see your response as you type it in there. I'd love to see your comments in the portal. If you noticed, I've been spending a lot of time in the portal answering questions. And I think I'm just about caught up on most all the questions in there. This is just sort of the instructions on how do you ask a question on this call. So, okay, you guys still with me? Can you hear me out there? Awesome, awesome. We got a lot of yeses. Any of you guys skiers? Any of you guys or girls skiers? How did that run look there? The untracked run there, was that pretty sweet or what? For you skiers out there. Nice. Yeah. Scary. Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Okay, I love to ski. I'm very jealous right now, is what Phil said. Yeah, it was pretty spectacular out there. And then, so then the funny thing is I'm rushing to get back to you guys. It's like, okay, I can ski to like 12:15, bomb down the mountain, get to my car at like 12:30, get to my office by like 1, be all set up, and wait for you guys. And then I'm sort of bombing down the last run, just flying down. And I cut over, there's still a bunch of untracked powder on the edge of the run. So I'm bombing down through this powder. And then I went through a little dip, and I did a little compression crash where I flew forward and went over my skis and blew out of both of my skis. And then my skis are buried in the powder. And when this happens, and both of them, I came out of both of my skis, as I'm rushing to get to the car to get to this call. And the funny, when you're in deep powder and you come out of your skis, they're buried under the powder. And sometimes it might take you 30 minutes or even an hour to find your skis. So I'm like, oh my gosh. of all the times to blow out of my skis. This is bad news. I'm going to miss the call. But yeah, I was able to track them down pretty quickly and found the skis. And here we are. We're ready to go. So I am going to go to questions right now. And we'll just start to scroll down. And I'm going to sort this by raised hands. We got a bunch of raised hands. And we're going to go to, let's see, we're going to go to Nancy. Hey, Nancy.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Nancy.
Great. I am a neophyte. I'm a long-term consultant, but a neophyte doing launches and things like that. So I'm way back, I think, in the second lesson, and I just need to ask you, I couldn't understand conceptually. I have a list of people. I send out emails the old way when you used to market everything and didn't give them information and didn't encourage them with little bite size or any of that. So I'm transitioning from that. So I have Infusionsoft that I use. So I have it set up that if someone buys from me, they go into another list. And that automatically takes them out of the main list that they were in, if I understand correctly.
Perfect. Yep, exactly.
And it sounded to me from listening to the tape, and I listened to it twice, that you keep them in that main list always. And I wanted to ask if that's true.
No, that's not true. So sorry, it left that impression. Yeah. Because, once someone buys from you, you just have a different relationship with them. It's just it's a whole different can of worms. So generally, yeah. I think that, there's sort of, you got your prospect list, which is someone who hasn't bought from you yet, and you've got your buyers list. And then really, if you have multiple products, you have multiple buyers lists, because each one of them, you have they've raised their hand in a slightly different way.
Right.
So absolutely move them to that owner's list. And then, how you follow up for them from there, it will be completely different.
Yes.
And,
okay.
Yeah. Totally.
That's what I thought, because I'm thinking, man, isn't that a lot of emails they're getting from me if I keep them in that main list?
Right. And and you don't want them to keep on selling them on something they've already bought. That's just awkward. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Then one other really neophyte question, because it's coming up with someone that wants to partner with me on something, and they're talking affiliates, and I wanted to know, what's the difference between affiliates and JV? And
there really is none, to tell you the truth. Functionally, there's none. Conceptually, in my mind, and everyone will have a different definition, since it's basically very, very similar things. For me, a joint venture partner is just someone who I feel like I've got a greater relationship with.
Okay.
There's someone I've been out to dinner with, I've worked with in the past, I get on the phone with, we see eye to eye with. So sort of in my world, I've got my JVs, and that's my top 20 or 30 people who I know real well. They've probably got my cell phone number. We text back and forth. I help them with their launches. And then there's like affiliates, or these people that have, joined my affiliate program, but I don't really know them or don't know them yet. So it's more a conceptual thing than
okay. And is there a rule of thumb in the marketplace as to the percentage? You know what?
There really isn't, because it depends mostly on your market and the type of product. If you look, Amazon's got an affiliate program, and I think they pay like, a few percent.
Unfortunately, in Colorado, we don't get to participate, do we?
No, we don't. And believe me, I sold a ton of my books that I could have sold through an affiliate program, or through their affiliate program. But no, in Colorado, we don't get to. It's no fun for us. But there's fun in other ways. But typically in information businesses, such as mine, such as many PLF owners, it would be more like 30 to 50% would be typical. But in business, everything's a deal, and at the end of the day, the question is what do you need to pay out to get people interested in mailing for you? There's even some people, like on the real low end, like if they're selling a low end product that's like a lead in for future products, sometimes they even pay 100 or more than 100% just because they're basically paying to get that buyer.
Because it's a cheap way of marketing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But like, you know, typical information business, you're looking at 30 to 50% probably.
Okay. And may I ask just one more quick question that I think you probably know off the top of your head?
Okay.
I wrote something, and someone else has got a much stronger list, and so I gave them co-authorship and 50% because of the very issue you're talking about.
Yep.
But they want the copyrights, and I can't figure out why someone wants copyrights. What does that do for you?
Well, I mean, copyright is basically, you know, if you hold the copyright on something, then you own that piece. That if it's a book or an article or whatever, you own it.
Right.
And you know, as of right now, you created it. And
right.
Did you create it entirely yourself? No help from anyone else?
Exactly.
Okay, so basically right now you own the copyright.
Right.
And you know, no one can take that and publish it without your permission. And so basically if they're asking for, and there's two levels of copyright. You know, as soon as the instant you create something, it is copyright. Then if you take it and register it with the government, then it becomes officially registered and you get a lot more protections that way. So right now you just have, like, since you haven't registered it, you just have your basic copyright, which you know, certainly would stand up if someone tried to claim it as their own, but you know, it's not as powerful. Now, if they want the copyright, basically, then that gives them the capability to take it and publish it. You know, you could sell or grant it to them, and then they can publish it in any way they want to anyone they want, you know, at any time they want. So they would basically they would have ownership of the piece if you gave them copyright.
Yeah, I just couldn't figure out why some, you know, I did a 50-50 split on the income, and I couldn't figure out why they wanted the copyright, because I didn't know, you know, like what would that give them
Yeah, it sounds fishy to me, because like if they had a copyright, then they would be able to go to someone else, a third party, and say, hey, why don't you mail this? And, you know, I'm co-author of this. Why don't you mail this and have it lead to my list? And then you wouldn't be part of the deal.
Got it.
It sounds a little fishy to me.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your honesty.
You're welcome. Okay, let me see. Where are we at? Mark, if you could go ahead and follow behind me and mute these, that'd be awesome. We're going to go to David.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, David.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I don't know if you have this somewhere on your site. One of the things I'm interested in is all the different tools you use. So, you know, things like Kajabi and the rest, and how you leverage them together. Do you have any place in the product launch where you cover that?
Yeah, we do. And to tell you the truth, I can't remember exactly where off the top of my head. I think it's either, I think it's in module 2 is what I'm going to guess. Mark or Chris, if you want to text me the answer to that one. But yeah, we basically do cover all the tools.
Cover all the tools. Okay. Okay. Very good. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Well, we're going to go to Denise. Hey, Denise.
Hi.
Denise. Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Good. I have a question, first of all, you talked about the live event.
Uh-huh.
So we're allowed to bring, when you talked about the live event
Yep.
coming up,
Yes.
we can bring a partner, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay, great. And also I asked a question. I was watching the module 5 this morning and yesterday, and one of the questions I had there was when the tennis pro guy was talking about the second video, when he talks about thanking people for what he did, for the question that they asked or the comment and all that, and
Yep.
so and then you said that's good to do that, and it's good to mention, you know, let's say thank you, Joe, for saying this and that, right?
Yep.
You mentioned that in the video.
Correct.
But which means that video has to be filmed after you post the first one, which doesn't give you a lot of time if you have like 4 days between the two.
Correct. So Denise, this is a great question. great question. So there's a couple different ways to do this, and one of them is you can do all the videos ahead of time, and the other one is you can do them, you can create them on the fly, moving as you go along. So, and this is going to be one of those, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this because Denise, this is a really great question, and I think this is helpful for everyone. So there, two different directions you can go, and I've done them both, and so I'm going to give you the pros and cons because each way has good things and things that are less good. So first of all, if you create them all ahead of time, it's actually let me start the other way. If you're creating them on the fly, when you create the videos on the fly, that basically means that you get your first video done, ahead of time. Hopefully, significantly ahead of time. You put a lot of effort in, you make it great, and then you release that, and then you can judge. You enter into into the launch conversation, and I talked about this in Module 1, and that's where the market is. You can judge what people are thinking based on their comments. You can judge what are their hot points, what are their hopes, dreams, fears, what are their objections, what's up in the market at that specific time, and then you can use that intelligence in your next video. So you might go in, you do your first video, you've got your second and third video scripted out, you basically know what it is, but then after that first video is released, then you're using all the comments, all the feedback, and maybe you're tweaking that second video, or maybe you're tweaking the third video. And based on like what you're seeing, what's up for people, what are the objections. And this is probably the most optimal way to do it. Now, the negative is it's very stressful. Like you said, you got 4 days between that first video and the second video, and all of a sudden, you release that first video, it takes a day or two for the comments to really start rolling in, and now you're hammering through a video. You're just trying to crunch through a video and get it done and have it look good, and you're on this treadmill. And then as soon as you get that second one done, then you're already starting to work on that third one. And meanwhile, you got to write emails, you got other, you're in the launch. There's all kinds of things that have to get done. It can be very stressful, and it's just your back's up against the wall. So in one sense, from a marketing sense, it's optimal. From having a life, being able to be fairly relaxed, making sure you're able to put all the pieces together, it's less optimal to do them on the fly that way. Then, to flip the other side of the coin, flip the coin, to get them all done ahead of time, well, it's the exact opposite. You get to take your time, you put everything together, it all looks, it's polished, it's less stressful, you get time to build your pages out, and it's a lot more manageable. But the negative is you don't get the benefits of that launch conversation. You don't get to react to each video as you move through with the next video. So so in this case, marketing wise, it's not as optimal, but in having a life and having the thing come off, the launch come off smoothly, it's a lot more optimal. Now, it isn't a black and white type of thing. There's different ways you can do this. So, for instance, you could do the first and second video, and have the third video done. That way, after that first video comes out, and you're starting to see the objections, see what's hot, you can incorporate that in your third video. And so that way you get your first two videos done, and you don't need to get that third video. You got maybe a week after people start reacting to that first video before you get the third video done. So that gives you a little more time. Another thing you can do is you can go in and have all the videos done, or sort of a minimum viable product, the minimum viable video. You have a video, you got something that will work for video 2. You got video 1 done, you got that really polished up. Then you do video 2 and 3, but maybe they're as you get in, you start to gather more intelligence, more information, and you end up remaking one of those videos. But if you don't get the new video done, worse comes to worse, then you've got video 2 and video 3, in the can. You've got something that works. And this is the way I like to do it is, I've done this before where we just had something that we knew would work. We knew it would be good enough, but then often we end up making something better during the launch. Now, there's another way, and another way you can do this is if you get them done all ahead of time. Now you're starting to gather that intelligence, but you can build that intelligence in, and usually that intelligence is around one thing that people are really excited about, or a big objection that they have that you didn't see coming, or something's changed in the market. You can deal with those via emails, because remember, the people going through your launch, they're getting the videos and they're also getting your emails. So the video is one way to communicate with them, but you could also be dealing with the things that aren't in the video. Things are coming up, big questions coming up, and you forgot to cover that in the video. You could be doing that via your emails. And yeah, so there's a variety of ways you can go, and which way you go sort of depends on where your skills are at. Like if, for instance, you've never done any video before, then get them all done ahead of time, because it's going to be more difficult and take you longer than you expect. For me, we've gotten to the point where I've been, probably done, I don't know, somewhere in the range, I don't know, I've done so many launches I can't remember, but just pure video-based launches, I've probably done, 8 of them or something like that, of the real big, or 8 or 10 of them. And so, I've got a video person, and I've got video gear, and I've got a video studio. So I have the capability of shooting video in a fairly efficient manner. But for someone who's just coming in, just has not been in front of a camera before, it's not going to be as efficient. It's going to take longer. So get the videos done ahead of time. Yeah, that's some of the, Denise, it's a great question. And, those are some of the considerations in whether you shoot video ahead of time or not.
Okay, and when you were talking about the Circle of Awesome, and you can reuse your internal launch to go with your GV partner,
right?
So that would be better if all your videos are made ahead of time for that?
Yeah.
Or you can treat it the same way as interactive? Yep,
yeah, right. They basically, by default, if you're going to reuse the launch, they're all going to be done ahead of time. So, you might end up seeing something in one of the videos and say, I want to shoot this one.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Can you guys you can hear it? Hello, you got me? Okay, there we go. There we go. I think I cut in and out or something. So the answer to Denise was generally, yeah, when you go from the internal launch to the JV launch, you can reuse your videos. You might see some videos that, you might end up remaking one of them or 2 of them, but yeah, you can reuse them. So let me see. So did that make sense? Well, that's a great question, Denise. And so I went off on that for a little bit about the idea of whether you shoot ahead of time or whether you make them on the fly. Does that make sense for you guys? Okay. Perfect. Okay. We'll go back to questions in just a second here. Okay, next question. We're going to go to Joan.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Joan.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. Just want to say thanks for imparting your knowledge in such a sincere and honest way. I've been trying for the last 6 months to make money online, and the result is 0. And from doing your course, I have learned so much that I got the confidence to now write an ebook. And my question is, how do I get, I've already completed, not quite, I think I'm 97% there. And I want to know, how do I get the fancy borders? How do I prevent purchasers from copying and pasting my content? And thirdly, what are the different ways that I would use to market the ebook?
Okay, so in terms of getting like a fancy design for it, there's lots of different ways you can go. I mean, the easiest is to find a designer. If you go to like Fiverr or something like that, you can get people to either who have a design they can sell you, or who could do a design for you. And remember, at the end of the day, it's much more about the words than having fancy borders on the page. Because if you look at everything I do, it's usually pretty darn simple. Second question is, how can you prevent people from stealing your work?
Yes.
You can't prevent them. You just can't. You can slow them down, but you can't prevent them. People will steal your work, and that's okay, because the people that are going to steal your work would never have paid for it in the first place. And there are some people that steal stuff in the world, and the vast majority of people are honest and good, and they don't. You can put a password on a PDF. If this is an ebook and you're making it a PDF, you can create a password for the PDF. Of course, the password could get passed around as well, but that would give you another layer of protection. Okay. And the thing to remember is, when you put a password in, then it's going to increase the level of support that you have to give, because there are going to be people forgetting the password, losing the password, and so it's just going to make it, I'm not saying it's not worth it, but it will make your life a little more complicated. You'll have more support to deal with, and also it will create a little bit of extra effort on your reader's part. And there's different ways. So in terms of thwarting piracy, there's easy things you can do and hard things you can do, and then there's things that make it a pain in the neck for your buyers. And if 98% of your buyers are good, honest people, you don't want to frustrate the good, honest clients to try to thwart the thieves. So I mean, if you look at what we do, we have a name, there's a username and password. So we protect our stuff to a certain degree, but at some point, there's always going to be some people that are more invested and more interested in stealing from you, then it's going to be worth your while to try to stop them from stealing. Because there's just no perfect protection. So yeah. So you can put a password on it or not, or you could try it. You can do either way.
Understand. The third question is, I understand the sideway horizontal launch funnel, but what are the different ways do I market it other than to my list? I have a list of, I think, 420 people.
Yeah, well, I mean, that would be the place to start. And then beyond there, that's a really huge question you're asking, because there's lots of different ways to market it. I mean, one of them would be you could do. I'm always a fan of publishing content to try to generate more leads, and that's why I publish a video on a weekly basis. And you can publish to Facebook, you can publish to Twitter, so you can do all those things, or you could find partners that could potentially mail for you, affiliates that could mail for you. If you're selling an ebook, it's probably going to be fairly low price. It's going to be tough to get affiliates because you're not going to be able to afford to pay big commissions. Mm-hmm. The other thing you could do is you could advertise. You could use paid traffic, such as advertise on Facebook. It is a hot place for many markets right now. Mm-hmm. So those are the three broad areas, real broad areas. Is by bringing in organic leads by publishing content is one. Using affiliates and joint venture partners is two, and the third is to go with paid traffic, where you're advertising and bringing people in. Now, one of the things you're going to want to do, I think, I'm not sure what your ebook's about, but generally ebooks, it's great. It's fantastic that you're getting rolling because you've been sort of, at this point, you spent a bunch of time studying, but you said until you got PLF, you really didn't have that confidence. Now you got that confidence. That's fantastic. You're almost done. Get it out there. Get it released. You've already started building a list. That's fantastic. So many good things are going. At some point, you're probably going to go to a higher priced product, higher priced packaging. There's a limit to how much you can get paid for an ebook. So if you take the same material and you put it into a video product or a series of teleseminars or a coaching program, then you can raise the price. And when you raise the price, that means that you can start to attract more partners and you can afford to spend more on advertising. So ebook's a great place to start. Congratulations for getting it done. Congratulations for being on the verge of getting it rolled out. But at some point, the economics work better when you can charge higher prices. So I would encourage you to think about moving in that direction after you get that ebook out.
Thank you. But I think even if I don't make a cent in publishing the ebook, it will give me the confidence and the motivation to do the video, the teleseminar, and the coaching.
Absolutely.
The important thing is taking action.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, you will make money because you've got that list. And if you just follow a basic PLF, it doesn't even have to be use videos, just follow PLF, just do it via a few emails to warm people on your list up before you roll it out, and you'll do well.
To you very much, and compliments of the season. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, we're going to go to, where are we going here? We're going to go to Luis. Hey, Luis.
Hello. Do you hear me?
How you doing? I can hear you.
Fantastic, Jeff. Well, my question is that I intend to do a seed launch, okay? And the seed launch is in Module 3. And we are now in Module 5, right?
5.
Well, should I wait to get all the modules and study all of them before doing my seed launch, or could I do it before?
No, it's better. I mean, the one thing, so next Monday we're going to release Module 6. And actually, here's a spoiler. We're going to actually release Module 6 and our bonus module both next Monday. But in Module 6 next Monday, I walk through how to do a sales video. And that probably would be a good one for you to watch as you do your seed launch, because it'll just give you ideas on how to sell it in your sales video.
Okay, good. And then, well, the seed launch would be without that sideways sales letter, right? I mean, you just send them to the sales video directly.
I'm sorry, Lisa, I didn't quite follow you there.
No, my question is, should I do a sideways sales letter before the seed launch? Or I send people directly to a video sales letter?
Yeah, well, if you do it like basically, yes, you send usually there's one video, one piece of content in the seed launch, one thing that warms people up, and then you you take them to the sales video.
So it's like I don't know if I understood. I should send them directly to just one page it's the sales letter, or not?
Yes. I mean, go back to the module with the seed launch in it and take a look at the examples there. Generally, there's one piece of content that's warming people up ahead of time, and then the sales video.
But these are two separated things, right?
Yes. Okay. One piece of content, and then the sales video. So one piece of content, it could be a video, it could be an email, it could be a blog post, and then 2 or 3 days later, then the sales video.
Okay, got it. Okay, okay. And
okay, thanks, Luis. We got to get rolling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for.
Okay, next we're going to go to Rachel.
Hello.
Hey, Rachel. How you doing?
Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you. I'm good.
I'm excited to talk to you.
Thanks. So I just need some help finding the price point. My niche is minimalism, so it's kind of hard because they don't spend a lot of money. And the gurus, I guess, in my niche all have very cheap products. Like, they have $3 to $10 books, and there is a Simplify Your Year course, and it's under $200, and it's 12 different people presenting it to their readers. So I want to do an intense decluttering course for 6 weeks, and I'd like it to be more than that. So I don't know.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So who's the number one guru in your niche?
So there's Leo Latoba, and there's
Leo.
Joshua Becker.
I've read a bunch of Leo stuff. Yes, I'm a. Here's a confession. I am a minimalist at heart.
Cool.
I'm a reformed minimalist. If you know what I mean. I used to think I was. Okay. So let me see. I love that you're asking this question. And do you have a list?
Yes, I have about 5,500 people.
Awesome. Have you sold anything to them in the past?
Yes. I have a $40 book, and I've sold over 200. And then I did a Simplify Your Holidays course. I tried doing a seed launch, and that was before I joined your course, and so I was just going off your book. And so now I'm picking out the different things that I made a mistake on, but I sold 2 of them for $300 a piece.
Okay, perfect. So, the pricing is a very interesting thing. It's a really amazing, money is just so crazy, and it's better than anyone, BS your niche, because, everyone has a different perception of money, and what is, inexpensive for someone, what's, what people don't even think about. There's other people in the world that would it would change their lives to have that amount of money. And so, what strikes me right off the bat is that you said people in your niche are selling for $3 to $10, and you've been selling at $40 successfully, and you even sold at $300, maybe not, absolute gangbusters, but you did well. And so I think you can sell higher, and often we do see people, if you go to Module 5, there's Susan, who's selling dog training, and people in her market, a few years ago when she started, the top price was $27 or something like that, and she's selling at $1,000 and doing really, really well. And so, PLF often allows you to drive, to demand or to ask for higher prices than if you didn't have PLF. And the funny thing is minimalism. I've just followed a tiny bit, tangentially, but just because someone wants to live with less doesn't mean that they don't have money. The first person that I know that went really, really, really hardcore on this and just got rid of everything, this guy was a multimillionaire, and he spent tons of money. And if you presented him he would easily spend $1,000 for a course. And I'm not saying there's a ton of people that are like that, but just because someone wants to simplify their life doesn't mean they don't have money. And I think you already get that since you charge $40 for one product and $300 for another. So I think you can go higher end. I think, you know, position yourself as higher end is great. I think, you know, doing a massive decluttering, there are a lot of people that need that, and it could be a very valuable thing to them. And I think you give value way beyond $3 to $10 to $40. So I think you can go higher. Will you get people blowing back at you because of this? Probably, if you went a lot higher. But you know what? We all have people that, you know, don't like what we're doing. So I think you can go higher. I absolutely do. And then, you know, the only question is where, and, you know, where do you start? And you start lower and drive it from there. And the other thing too is if you've got 5,500 people, you've got some raving fans in there, and those are the raving fans that pay $300. So will you have to work a little harder for the sale at a higher price? Yes. Can you do, you know, will some of the stuff that like I would do in my marketing look hypey to your market? Yes, probably. So you might have to tone down a little bit, but you don't tone down the emotional appeal. I think your appeal has to be all about the fact that, you know, minimalism's a choice. It's not something that you do because you don't have money. It's a choice in how you want to live your life. You just want to, maybe you want to live a simple, more intentional life, and having less clutter in your life allows you to do that. It's not about not having money. So, right. Did that help at all?
Okay. Yes, it did. Thank you. So if I charge higher, like how long does it take to establish yourself as like the high-end product person?
Well, I mean, it seems to me you already have, right? You're selling at $40.
Okay, yes. I was just thinking of my $300 course that I sold too, and I was like, oh, I was really hoping for like $10,000 from that.
Yeah. So one thing to remember, and this is for everyone, you know, it's awesome. You put something out there, $300, which is 30 times what the market's charging for this niche. And the world doesn't know how many you sold, right?
Right.
As far as the world knows, you were wildly successful. And there's no reason you have to, you know, correct their impression of it, you know. And so you should just move forward like that was a tremendous success in your thinking, in your copy, in talking about the program in the future. You know, and maybe your list wasn't ready for $300. Maybe $100 or $97 would be a good place to start now. To basically, you know, you can talk about, you know, having offered that program at $300, but now you wanted to come out with a, you know, so that one was, the $300 was decluttering your holidays. Is that right?
Yeah, simplifying your holidays, yeah.
Simplifying your holidays. And now, I mean, you can come back and say, you know, we had that program. I love delivering it. It was a great program. But the one thing I know is as we come into this new year, there's a lot of people that, you know, you're looking around and you're ready to simplify your life. You're looking around, there's clutter everywhere. There's holiday clutter. There's all the clutter left over from the last year. There's you know, there's your bathing suit over in the corner you still haven't put away. And I know this is a time of year where people really, they're ready for a fresh start. And the best way to get a fresh start is to truly declutter. Now, I know in the past, so I've offered some really high-end programs, but I wanted to make this one a lot more affordable. And so I'm going to offer this one for $97. It includes it includes live coaching calls with me, and we're going to walk you through the process. We're going to hold your hand as we go through this process for the month of January. We're going to declutter your life. And because I know it's needed right now, I'm going to make this available for $97 or, you know, 2 payments of something or other. I wouldn't do payments. I do just straight up 97.
Okay.
So does that sound like would work?
Yes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, now we're going to go to Scott. Hey, Scott. Scott, you there?
Oh, did you mute?
Yeah. Hey, got you now.
Okay. I didn't really have a question, but just kind of
your hand
direction. No, it's down. That's okay. Just kind of a newbie and getting into this and kind of looking for some direction. I think I'm getting that out of the module, so just, continuing on for that, and thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, glad it's working for you. Okay, we're going to move right along to, we're going to go to Matt. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Jeff. Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
All right. So, yeah, I have a business I've been working on this year, and I have a list that's really small, like 30 people, and I'm trying to build it up, and I'm trying to, it's kind of a two-pronged question. One, what's your recommendation for building that list as soon as possible? And then is there kind of an inflection point when you would do a launch based on the list size?
Yeah, okay, so building the list, comes down to creating an offer, a squeeze page with an offer, and then just driving people to that. And this goes back to the question I answered. It might have been Joan that asked it. I can't remember exactly who asked it, but it was about, how do I market this beyond just my list? And there's three pillars, and actually pillars is probably the wrong thing, because you don't need all three of them. But there's three primary areas, and one is by publishing and pulling people in organically. And publishing means it could be a blog, it could be white paper, it could be on social media, it could be a guest posting, just all the podcasting, all the different ways that you can publish. And so you're putting information out there, and then you're pushing people back to your page, to your site, which has hopefully got a squeeze page, which drives people to their list. I've always been a big fan of this. I've been doing this since 1996. The whole basically content publishing. Second one is joint ventures and affiliates. And it's the fastest way to grow a list, but you need to have a product and an offer that's already converting before you can do that.
Right.
The third one is paid traffic. And right now, the best, easiest place to do paid traffic is at Facebook. But for for the latter two, the JVs and affiliates, and for paid, you have an offer up there so you can start, so you can pay for it, so you can monetize it. Otherwise, if you're advertising and spending money without knowing that you're going to convert down the road, then you're taking a big gamble. So the thing I would do is, I would start publishing to whatever extent you can, and then try to put together an offer. And the way, in some ways this game, traffic gets to be real easy if you have a high converting offer, because then you can go and you can spend money on it. And then, or you can get partners and affiliates. So once you get a converting offer, then it's a lot easier. But, you got to get to that point.
Okay. And then is there kind of a magical inflection point as far as the size of the list? I mean, I hear a lot of people, they're saying, I have 5,000 or 10,000 people on my list. And I'm thinking, man, dude, I have 30. It's
right.
That seems like what you said about your making $10,000 at one point way back when, and I know I'll get there, but it's just one of these things that, I want to get some momentum and build up, but, what's the best way to at least start monetizing the business? Yeah,
there's really not like an inflection point. There's really not a point where it's like all of a sudden, holy cow, it's time to send something to these guys. It's a gradual build, and though there are some lists, I've seen small lists of, a few hundred people that, I once had a list. It was a very warm, incredibly warm list, because it was a community that I built. But there was 300 people on the list, and I sold them a product for $100, and 297 out of 300 bought it. And so that was, almost $30,000, and it was a yearly subscription. So they kept on renewing year after year from a list to 300. It was an insanely warm list that I've been nurturing this community and building this community and taking care of this community for literally 3 years. So this is an anomaly, but it just goes to show you that there can be power in small lists. I've seen many times, like in these big JV launches, where someone will compete, like two people will be competing in this, because anytime you see one of these big JV launches, one of these big internet marketing launches, there's a leaderboard. The public doesn't see this, but there's a leaderboard, and that leaderboard is the top partners, who's selling the most product. And I've seen, they tend to be very competitive, because the people, building businesses are competitive by nature, and especially in this market. And usually it's more about, who can declare themselves king of the hill. But I've seen people with a list size, like two people compete, where one has a list size 1/10 the size of the other person and is still able to compete just because they have a warmer relationship with that list. So, the only thing with list size is, there's two kinds of people when it comes to lists. There's the people that haven't started building a list, and there's the people that want a bigger list. And no matter how big your list is, you want to be bigger. If you've got a 1,000 person list, if you've got a 30 person list, you can't wait to break 100. And after you break 100, you're just looking forward to breaking 1,000. And after you break 1,000, you're looking forward to 5,000. And then after you break 5,000, then you're probably looking at 10. And once you break 10, you're looking at 30. And once you break 30, you're looking at 100. But the person sitting there with 100,000 people on their list, they still wish they had 300,000. And the person with 300,000, they wish they had 1 million. And so there really is no inflection point at all. If I was going to do a big, full-out internal launch, I'd probably wait till I had 300 or 400, 500 people on the list. But and before that, if it was smaller than that, I'd probably just go with the seed launch. But yeah, it's not like there's any point where it's just all incremental. It is. I talk about baby steps, and it very much is. It's just moving forward. I remember when I started, and I would get a subscriber every, 3 or 4 days, someone would subscribe, and I'd just get so excited about it. And then I kept on working, publishing content, and then so to help you out, Matt?
Yeah, no, definitely. That's, for me, it's, I see myself where you were back in, the mid-'90s, and I just want to get up there as soon as possible. And it's just, when you have a small list, the momentum obviously is equally small. So I do appreciate it. I've been looking forward to asking that for a while.
Okay. Yep, you're welcome. And one other thing to remember, Matt, is there is, the bigger once you get even at 30 people, but once you get a little bit bigger, then you can start to use that list because then what happens when you do publish something somewhere on Facebook or on a blog or something, then you tell your list about it, and then they go and then they start to share it, and there's a snowball effect. Once you start building up a following, it does tend to have a snowball effect. Okay, next we're gonna go to, let's see, Sonia.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Sonia.
Finally get to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So my question, I think you kind of answered it earlier with the gentleman about the seed launch, but I'm looking to do a seed launch in January, and I have an idea of the product that I'm going to create because it's based on the book that I launched this past summer that did really well. And so my question is really twofold. The first is, in terms of the pages that I create, it sounds like what you said earlier, some piece of content like maybe a webinar or something like that, and then a sales page. Is that correct?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
And then the second question I have is with respect to the pricing. So for the seed launch, what I want to do is a 6 or maybe 5 week boot camp based on the system that I've created that I talk about in my book. And then when I do the full launch, what I want to do is basically take that and put it online. So in terms of the pricing, would you recommend that they both be the same price, or do I possibly go less with the seed launch to get more participants into the program to be able to develop the product further? I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, you know, that's a good question. In general, like for me, when I do something live, it will be higher priced. So that my seed launch will either be higher priced or the same price that we go at later on, with the idea that people who are getting to attend live and interact with me live, you know, that's a more valuable offer. However, that doesn't really hold. I mean, that's because like right now I've built up enough of a list and enough positioning where I can do stuff like that.
Right.
Like the most important thing with your seed launch is to get people in there to interact with you, because it's a lot more fun when you're creating something interactively, and it will make your product better. So I would probably, you know, I'd price it at a level where you think you can get in a group of people. So, you know, it's fine to make it a little lower priced there.
Okay, that's what I was kind of thinking, but I wanted to get your thoughts as well. Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. And let's go to David. Hey, David.
Hey, Jeff. Good afternoon.
How you doing?
A couple things real quick on I want to go back to the videos. What I decided to do is I found a videographer here in my town who I negotiated a price that if I did all three in one day, one quick setting, he'd give me a much lower price. So I was able to negotiate a very good deal that way.
Cool.
So I decided to go that way.
Did you shoot him?
Pardon me?
Yep. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Have you shot him already?
No, not yet. I've got there's a few more questions to get from you. I'm doing a brand new web page, so I'm doing my first video for my web page on the 2nd of January, and then we're going to figure out how to best do my three. I've got to explain to him what we're doing because he's completely at a loss of how I need to get things done. So I wanted to be able to sit down with him, explain it to him so that when we do them, he understands and he's ready to rock and roll.
Good. Yeah, show him like, like in Module 5, either the pre-launch videos of mine or of Will's or of Susan's.
Good idea. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. Let me quickly get to my question. I think I know the answer, but I want verification. So I've got a fairly small list. I've got a 1,500 person list that's been cold. And so I'm migrating them from one customer management system to a new one starting January 1. And I needed to get them off of that old list into my new one so I didn't have to pay a new fee. So I sent them out a newsletter in about a week and a half ago and said, hey, this is why I went cold. Looking forward to it. This is what I'm going to be doing. If you don't want to stay on this list, please let me know and I'll make sure you take it off. Well, I only had about 12 people say, don't want to stay on. So I've migrated everybody over to my new list. Now, I got all through with Module 4 and on the pre-launch. So it seems that I might want to, before I put out my offer, which I know what I'm going to do because I did some testing, but before I do the offer, it seems that the pre-launch tells me to send them 2 or 3 free content emails. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways the pre can go. It's a much more loosely defined thing than the actual pre-launch where we do 3 videos. In the pre, it could just be, that's when I often do the survey, and it's just the whole idea of the pre is to just sort of let something slip that something is coming, that you've got something in the works. So you could do that via a content email, you could do it via the survey, or you could do both. But it's just sort of this gradual process that's like, oh, and by the way, yeah, I'm working on something. It's really cool. I can't wait to tell you about it next week, and it's going to be about this topic. So that's the whole idea.
Would sending them some free content be good as well? Because this group I know very well, and they would be very receptive to some free good content.
Yeah, no, that'd be perfect.
Okay. All right. Yep. Great. Thank you. That answers my question. I appreciate it very much, Jeff. Happy holidays to you and your family.
You too. Okay, we're going to go to Molly. Hey, Molly.
Hey, Jeff. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Nice to talk to you again. This is my second round through PLF now.
Nice. Nice.
So as you might recall, I'm a serial launcher. I've launched a whole bunch of times over the last years, or the last year, and getting ready to do another launch. And I had a question about delaying the buy button.
Yeah. Okay.
I know you've said to do that, and my husband was just listening to one of the recent Q&A calls, and he said that he heard you say it again, and it seemed like you were pretty emphatic about it, and so we were talking about it, and I said that I had tried it once on the first day of one of our previous launches, and I got nervous because we weren't getting as many sales on that first day that we normally get on the first day. So I was wondering if you've noticed that you will tend to get fewer sales on the first day if you delay the buy button, but you will get more overall.
Well, you know, so what could be going? No, the answer is well. So here's the answer. The answer is every single time we've tested it, response has been higher by delaying the button. And it does make it painful because you push that launch button and then you got to wait for a good long time before people actually, you know, even have the opportunity to buy. So I think, you know, my sales for the year, I think it was like 27 minutes. So I sent the email goes out and I still have to wait a half hour to know if we're going to sell anything. Although somehow some people magically figured it out. I don't know what they did, but but what could be happening for you, Molly, is since you've done so many launches, and I'm pretty sure I remember who you were just based on what we've said so far, you've done a bunch of launches, and what happens is as you do more launches for your list starts to recognize that they don't have to buy on that very, very first day. So, you know, in my market these days, since everyone out there is doing launches, you would think launches wouldn't work anymore, but the reality is they work better than they ever have. But most of the sales have moved later in the launch cycle. It used to be half of your sales came in the first 24 hours, and now in my market, half the sales come in the last 24 hours. You know, the first day went from being 50% to now being, you know, 15%. And that can happen in different markets and with different lists. And my guess is that if you're starting to see the results come later on, that's what's happening with your list.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
The one asterisk is that in the last 48 hours, then we pop the button right away.
Right.
You know,
right.
I remember
within
the first 15 seconds. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Just as a just kind of a side note, one of the things that I always love telling you, just to remind you who I am and to tell everybody else how much they should listen to you. Last year, one of our earliest launches after we started PLF a year ago, the first time, we did a launch around this time of year, and a year ago, and we only had 300 people on our list. It was like our second or third launch ever, and it was to a really small list. It was right after we did a seed launch. We did a regular internal launch. We had about 300 people on the list, and we made about $15,000 out of 300 people. So that was extremely exciting. That was one of our first launches. So
could you say that? Molly, could you say that number again? You broke up a little bit for me. Could you say that number again? How much?
Yeah. We had at the time we had only 300 people on our list, and we made in that launch about $15,000.
Yeah, amazing. Just amazing.
So yeah, that was one of our early successes. We've had even more since then because of following PLF. So we obviously just love you.
That's fantastic. Now, Molly, did you come to PLF Live last year?
I didn't get to because I had just had a baby. So I plan on coming next time.
Great. Excellent. We'll look forward to seeing you there. That'll be fantastic.
Absolutely. Thanks again so much for answering my questions.
You're welcome. And so you got a new baby for Christmas? This is going to be the first Christmas, or?
Yeah. He's about three and a half months old now, and I have two other ones that are a little older.
Oh, okay, cool. So you'll have a very busy house.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you
Thanks,
again.
Molly. You're welcome.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, how about that? List of 300 people, $15,000. Oy, it's amazing. Amazing. Okay, let's see. We're going to go to Kat.
Oh, did you say me? Hi.
Yes, I did. Hi.
So yeah, there's a lot of content in the newest modules, which is great.
Yeah.
So I am jumping in and doing a little mini launch. Basically, it's a new product type, this masterminds and master classes that I'm hoping to do for several different segments. So I'm trying one first, the entrepreneurs, who I think will be early adopters. And kind of back into the question, I had an event last week where I announced it and put out the lead page. I'm doing a follow-up email and a video. I think the mastermind concept is still kind of new for my audience. So sort of video explaining what that is. And then offering an actual free online mastermind, kind of a drop-in, well, not drop-in, but a free mastermind. I guess I'm trying to come up with sort of the minimally viable product version of something, just both to get something out there on the product side and also to get me some experience of actually doing a miniature version. It is a seed. It is the first time we've done it. It's internal. Well,
the minimum viable is just 5 calls. It's just do 5 teleseminars. I mean, you could do 3, but 5 usually works better. But it's just 5 calls. Just where you're going to train people. Come take your topic and.
I mean, in terms of a minimally viable launch, so that we have, that we have a couple of opportunities for people to come on and actually not just have a video, but experience what it's like to be in a mastermind, to be in a master class with experts. As part of the sales process. As part of the launch process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, basically, what you're talking about is creating case studies, and which is wonderful. But I mean, that's sort of what the seed launch is designed to do: is to get in a small group of people where you work with them, and you create success for them, and then you can use them going forward in everything you do in your marketing.
Right. I mean, I'm hoping that this. So essentially, where we're at right now is we haven't sold anything to anybody. And actually, I come out of similar to your background of more of the online news and publishing, and now I've got this list and a good relationship with about 2,600 people, and very high profile, but I've never sold them anything, and I think I've come up with a good product. So I'm kind of easing into this, this special small group.
Yeah, well,
I still haven't put up an offer. That's next week.
Yeah, so Kat, I mean, if you've got 2,600 people and it's a warm, engaged group, you're certainly going to have some minimum number that are going to be wanting to jump on board whatever you do, even if you don't have a super polished, super strong sales message. There's just going to be people that are, with a list that size, there's going to be early adopters there. And, so get some of those people in, make them an offer, make that offer from the heart, make it from a position of strength that you just want to bring in a small group of people This is something that's near and dear to your heart. That, you know, the whole concept of masterminds has been around since Napoleon Hill wrote about it in Think and Grow Rich. It's done great things for you. It's really impacted your business and your life in huge ways. You've seen it help so many people. And what you've decided to do is you've decided to actually create a small mastermind. You know it's going to be awesome. You don't know if this is going to be something that you're going to continue to do. This might be a one-time only, but you know it's going to rock. And you just want a few people who are willing to raise their hands and join you in this journey to take your business and your life to a new level in 2015. And and I would and then just make the offer. And if you get 6 people, awesome. If you get 12 people, awesome. If you get 100 people, it might be more than you want. But and then just do a first iteration, make it great, over deliver for them. Give them a great mastermind experience, and take what you've learned and turn it into a bigger thing.
Yeah. I've seen people do well with, and I have a sense that this could be something, since it's such a, being in a small group mastermind is so personal, that at the end of this sample mastermind, to say, I don't, the idea of not actually throwing out an offer per se, but saying, we're going to do this, we're offering a, sort of a one-on-one strategy session, whatever, for folks who fill out this assessment application, get them into a one-on-one with me at that point. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be great. And also, if you're going to do a small group for this thing, then I would make I would have it be application only. So they have to apply.
To be
right. And because a few bad apples in a small group ruins everything. And by the way, making them apply brings you into making a takeaway sale, and that's a really powerful positioning. This isn't for everyone, and you do have to apply. That instantly becomes a very, very powerful attractant for you.
Okay, so we put it out there. We're going to have this. Going to follow up with another email that'll have a video that'll have a little more information, another video, a little more information, actually get them into a live practice experience of being in a mastermind with me. And then for those who think this might be the right thing for you, we're going to have this application and an opportunity to have a strategy session with me and see if this is a good fit. Something like that.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Okay.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye. Okay, and we are going to go to Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan.
Hi, is that me?
Yes, it is you.
Hi, Jeff. Okay, so my question is, I really had a question from the very beginning of the first pre-launch sales video of content that you were doing for PLF. You started by saying that the market has changed in the last 12 months. That was like the gripping line. So you got to listen. And I always wanted to know, what was the specific change that you had in mind about the last 12 months?
To be 100% blunt and 100% honest, that was just a huge hook to pull you in.
Okay.
Obviously, it worked really, really well.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's a real hook. The reality is the market has changed, and it's always changing, but it's changed differently for different people. In different, like for instance, in my market, the thing that's really is changing is there. And I think this goes for most all markets, but I think it's really pronounced in my market, is there's a greater move away from hype and towards authenticity, and towards delivering real content. So I think that's a big one. I think that, and then, I think markets are less tolerant of, if you look at the sideways sales letter, some people think it's just you put out you take the sales letter, you split it into 3 pieces, but that's not really it. because what we do is we deliver content all along the way, and we raise these problems, and then we solve the problems, and we move on to another problem. But, a lot of people, old school, it's more, I'm just going to, tease you for 3 videos with one long, it essentially becomes one long sales letter. So I think that's one of the biggest changes. But, in reality, when I said that line, it was like, oh, I'm going to get people with this one. I'm going to hook them. And yeah, there you go.
Okay. Okay, and I also have a question regarding, this is a question probably a lot of people are thinking. You were saying that in the pre-launch content, you can't just tell them the benefits, but you have to aggravate them a little bit, make them feel bad about what life will be like without your product, right?
Well, I don't know if I put it that way exactly. I mean, what you have to do is you have to show them the opportunity, and the opportunity to have a greater life, whether they have more pleasure or satisfaction, joy, or they have less pain and angst. So, I mean, there's the moving towards and the moving away. And you have to show them the opportunity. You have to show them what they can move towards. Along the way, how much you want to aggravate, you can aggravate. It just depends on how you want to approach it or what your market is. If you look at my launch that I just did, there's like almost no aggravation whatsoever. I mean, I wasn't poking at wounds, because basically my people, they want to create a business, and they have that dream, they have that desire. And I might try to awaken that desire a little bit more by showing them, the promised land that I can take them to. But, there was very, very little agitation in my launch.
Okay. I thought you had been saying, like, at the beginning of your launch, you had mentioned how your launch could be a failure and that could set you back so far. And if you use hope marketing, it's just going to be a failure and you'll just end up where you started. That was all the aggravating part.
Well, again, I did absolutely talk about that there were failed launches out there, and that, hope marketing, that what I see is people relying on hope marketing. And yeah, I mean, if you want to count that as agitation or aggravation, that's fine.
Agitation, sorry.
Yeah, I think the tone that I use is a little different than the tone you used, but we're probably splitting hairs.
Okay, and I have one more question, which is, in the first piece of the first video on the the core training before Module 1, so you had this line there, which I really liked, which was that the business world today is all about connection, transparency, and authenticity. I think those were the 3 words you used. So then we're getting into, like, in Module 3, where we're getting into more of the putting in all the mental triggers, and it feels like there's all of this push to almost use people's brains, use their mental triggers. And I'm just wondering, what's the balance that you feel that the market is holding at in terms of authenticity versus using traditional marketing techniques?
Well, first of all, when you say the market, there is, of course, no single market. Every market is different. Every niche is different. Every business is different. And everyone's definition of authenticity and transparency is different. So there is no, to use a term that we had just another question a few minutes ago, was the inflection point. I don't think there is any one single inflection point. I think in my marketing, I go, I bend over backwards to be authentic, to present myself for who I am, and to present, what I can do for people. And, I really focus on, not trying, for instance, I don't teach stuff that I don't know. It's really easy to when you're in my position to just to get caught in wanting to make stuff up. But I and none of us is perfect, right? Ever. And I'm certainly not perfect, but I think in general I do a pretty good job of holding that authenticity line. On the other hand, it's like my stuff changes people's lives. You just heard from Molly. She did this launch with 300 people. She did whatever, $15,000, and she's done many more launches, making many more. Some of those launches did a lot bigger, and she's bringing huge things out into the world. I just read an old comment on one of my blog posts from a conversation I had with someone who she ended up going and creating a training for ballet dancers so they don't destroy their bodies when they're learning ballet, and she's impacted thousands of people around the world. Susan Garrett is in Module 5, and she's helped tens of thousands of dog owners and dogs have better lives. So, my stuff, and many of us on this call, most of us, our stuff changes people's lives. But I can't change lives if I don't sell it. So I sell hard. I think I'm authentic, I'm transparent, I'm a nice guy, but when push comes to shove, I know I got stuff that's going to change people's lives. And I'm not willing to be dishonest or deceitful or even twist the truth, but I'm going to sell hard. I'm going to use every weapon that I can come up with, including the mental triggers. Anyone who has a spouse, who got someone to say, yes, I'm going to marry you, they used the mental triggers. Everyone who's ever landed a job, or everyone who's managed an employee and gotten them to do something, you've used the mental triggers either effectively or ineffectively. So, in PLF, I'm just showing you these are the mental triggers, some that I've learned from others, some that I've developed myself, all in the hopes that you're putting it out there to do good and you're delivering a great product. Then I love giving people the means to use, to sell effectively, to bring their work out into the world effectively. So thanks, Jonathan. We got to get moving. We're going to take one more. We're right at the 90-minute mark when we're supposed to quit. I'm going to go ahead and take one more question from Kristen. Hey, Kristen.
Hey, Jeff. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. First of all, I love the program. It is just amazing, all the stuff that we've learned and how we're applying it all over the place. My question is, I just watched in Module 4, you were talking about how you did the promotion to launch your blog. Mm-hmm. And my husband's launching a podcast next month, and he doesn't have a list. And I'm wondering if you have any suggestions for how we can help him build his list so that he has a really successful launch with his podcast.
Yeah, so first of all, I was just talking about not teaching stuff that I don't know. And so I don't want to teach, because I don't know how to launch a podcast. Because in most things, if most things in the world, you want me to show you how to launch it, and I'm going to be able to figure it out and give you a decent plan. But I do know with podcasts, there are a few little tricks because of the way, iTunes works and the way it ranks stuff, that ends up playing into the way you want to launch it. So, but I just know, this is one of those deals where I know that I don't know enough to talk about it. I think what happens is, you want to get the most downloads in a specific period of time, so you want to build all your marketing so it, I think it even comes down to having multiple shows before you even announce it, because each download counts separately. So if when you first announce it, you got 3 episodes and people grab those 3 episodes, then you've got 3 times as many downloads. I think that's what it's about, but I don't know for sure. And in terms of building the list, I already gave this answer a couple times. It's, there's 3 ways to do it. Building a list comes down to an offer, having an offer where people give you their email address for something. So it's having an offer that's going to resonate with your market, and then driving traffic to that squeeze page where that offer is. And the way you drive traffic comes down to those 3 ways. I've talked about it a couple times in the call. And, it's either content or affiliates or buying through advertising. And, the first one is in terms of money, the most inexpensive, but it's a slow burn. It's not something, unless you are lucky enough to create something that goes viral, it's not something that just, blows up overnight. So if he's about to launch that podcast in a few weeks, just publishing some content is not going to, build you a sizable list that's big enough to put a dent in iTunes. It's not going to happen in the next couple of weeks if you do it via content. If you do it via partners, you can build really, really quick, but then they have to have a reason to mail. There has to be an offer there for them, and you want an offer that converts before you ask anyone to promote for it. And then the third one, the paid traffic route, is great, and that's the easiest, that's the quickest one to turn on, because you can just go set up an account with Google or Facebook and literally have traffic, a couple hours from now. But the problem is then you're spending money, and you're spending money in the hopes of driving people to a podcast. You're a ways from getting, from recouping your investment. So, the quick, short answer in terms of building for a podcast that's an imminent launch, I'm not sure.
All right, well, I appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome. Okay, thank you, Kristen. Okay, that was a great call. We went a few minutes late. I hope that was okay. You guys still with me here? Awesome, still with me. So first of all, congratulations. We're 5 calls, and the fact that you're here. This is actually the strongest. Well, I was just talking to Kristen, who is sort of my backup brain and does a lot of my operations, and is my primary sort of manages a big project. She managed the whole PLF launch for me. And we were just talking yesterday. This is the best group of PLF students we've ever had, and which is saying something, because I've been doing this for 10 years. Or 2015 will be my 10th year. And this is the strongest group we've ever had, just based on the number of people showing up on the calls, the number of questions on the calls, the interaction on the calls, the comments we're getting in the portal, the level of community we're getting. It's just been a great group. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the call, this is my last official call with you, but we're going to have many more unofficial ones. I'm going to be back with you. It's probably going to be the second week of January before I get back, but we'll be doing a call next week. Mark will be doing that call, and Mark and John will be doing, they're my 2 elite coaches. They'll be doing calls with you. And like I said, I'll be back for a call with you in January, and even beyond January. We're going to keep on doing calls for you. So lots more to come. Stick with, next week, Module 6 is going to rock. Like I said, that's where I break down the sales letter and or the sales video and how to do it, and it's powerful stuff. I know you're getting a lot out of it. So for for everyone who's celebrating Christmas, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. And let's go get them in 2015. I know we've had, with this amazing PLF class we've had, we're going to have some amazing happenings in 2015 as you guys all start to deploy these strategies and tactics. So thanks for playing along. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all your energy. Love this call. Love being with you guys. It was worth missing half a day up at the mountain. And yeah, have a great day, Merry Christmas, and let's go get them in 15.